Welcome to the Finding Magic podcast, where we explore themes of magic, creativity, and of structured intuition, which is using intuition to lead us through our lives. These are the themes raised in my book, Getting into the Flow, and this podcast aims to deepen and expand on them, to broaden our view of reality, and to help us understand how magic is created and sensed, so that we can realize our true potential and create our lives as purposeful and powerful from an inspired and joyful place. I'm Vincent, your host. Let's get into it. And welcome to Insight Episode 8, Snakes and Ladders, How Can We Cheat? And in this episode, I continue the game of snakes and ladders as a metaphor for life and look at how we can improve our chances of winning. So, have you ever played with a little kid? I can tell you, some of them cheat like hell. And then when they get a little bit older, they learn how to win in a way that makes you say, they've got to be cheating, but you can't figure out how. And do you know anyone who is able to do this with their life in a way that they always seem to be winning, that luck and good fortune just follows them around and flows to them? How can we make that happen for us? How can we create a life that's full of fortune and good luck? And don't get me wrong, with these people, there's still an element of chance. There are still challenges. But if snakes are what pulls us down in life, how can we stomp the path ahead of us so the snakes get out of the way? How can we turn those ladders into high-speed elevators? How can we make things more in our favour? So the first thing to acknowledge is that most of the snakes, most of the challenges, most of the unwanted circumstances that we experience in our lives are of our own making, and yet we're unconscious of the fact that we created it all. We're not conscious of how our unconscious assumptions, limiting beliefs, and our definitions about the world and other people and ourselves, how they all fashion for us a life experience that reflects the unconscious mindset. Now, many of you are aware of this, and when you are, you forget how important a shift it is from seeing life as just a random succession of unwanted events and circumstances to being a succession of, unwanted events and circumstances, but ones that are not random, that we've had a big hand in creating. So now, for those of us that are aware and have spent some time building an understanding of our unconscious processes, we're able to make shifts in the way that our lives unfold. It's not a single magical overnight healing of everything, but we do see a series of incremental improvements over and over again. We look at our lives, especially our unwanted outcomes. We analyse what unconscious drivers might be at work and what triggers them, and then what we do when we're triggered. And with that information, we can raise our level of presence, raise our awareness of the triggers, raise our awareness of the behaviours, and simply choose a better course of action, another behaviour. So that's the snakes. We become more present, we look for signs of snake activity, and then simply choose another path. But what about the ladders? And I'll be honest, I've always found it easier to avoid snakes than to find more ladders, but I'm working on it. What has become clear to me, though, is that we all have a purpose in this life, and aligning to that opens us up to receiving ladders. When I went to Uluru in 2020, I didn't want to go at first. I put it out of my mind because of my definitions around the lack of resources that I had. I just didn't feel aligned to the trip. So something else about circumstances that we're not always mindful of, that they're not level and always good and always bad or somewhere in between. The desirable circumstances and undesirable circumstances come and go in waves. So there's always a little bit of oscillation about that midpoint of where you're at right now. And my circumstances did manage to go up a little bit on one of those waves, up to a point that I was able to receive the call and become aware that the call had been there all along, and opened up, let go. The magic started to happen and supported me in getting to Uluru and having an amazing experience while I was there, and then writing my book, getting into the flow afterwards. So the lesson from that is that it's important to be aligned with your life path and purpose. Be open to how it calls you, and be sensitive to circumstances in that they are like waves under a boat, sometimes letting you down, sometimes lifting you up. So even if everything looks hard now, be ready for that wave to come along and lift you up and propel you forward, and potentially propel you forward rapidly. How did I get from a metaphor of elevators to a metaphor of waves? Don't know, don't care, doesn't matter. But if you'd like to learn how to develop the use of your intuition beyond vague hunches, gut feels, and looking for signs, even beyond using for day-to-day things like making decisions, and into using it to find a life path and create a route through that, well, intuition is a skill. And like riding a bicycle, you need some help at first, but you'll get it pretty quick. And if you'd like to build that skill, and if you'd like to learn how to use it to reveal your purpose, your potential, your life path, or just to learn more about my work or about finding magic, I'd invite you to check out the detail on my website, vincentgmelling.com. If you click the red podcast button at the top of the page, it'll take you to links where you can access the full list of podcasts, the platforms you can get them on, and where you can join discussions of the episodes. As well as the podcasts, you'll see how to get the book. That's the yellow button. And finally, how to engage with me. And that's the green button, and it will lead you to the trainings I run, my coaching program, and to a link for you to contact me. So here's the website again, vincentgmelling.com. If you're watching this as a video on YouTube or seeing it as a Facebook post, I'll put that link in the heading text. But obviously, if you're listening to it on Spotify as you're driving along, there is nowhere for me to put it. So, just look up the website anyway, vincentgmelling.com. Very simple, it's my name. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Done.